What's up guys, Card Protagonist here, and today I'm gonna do a Buddyfight deck profile on my very own Shadow Shades deck. I've been using this deck for a while and I've gotten some pretty good results with it. So, the main goal of this deck is to use Terry to tank the center and then finish off by controlling the bot with Joe. So this deck is perfect for you guys who love to play a size 3 center deck and die together with your buddy. So let us go on with the deck profile. First up, the buddy play is Silhouette Terry. So basically he is the boss monster of the deck. He's a very solid 8-2-5 stats, which allows him to destroy walls and tank at the same time against size 1s. So his cost is pay 2 gauge and put a spell from the drop zone into this card. So please note that you have to have a spell in the drop zone in order to pay its core cost. So no spell in the drop zone, no core, because you have to put one. So even if you do not have a spell in the drop zone, you are unable to call him. So make sure you use cards like Nice One or Solomon First Volume, or Never Say Never to put cards into the drop zone so that you are able to call Terry. He's a very solid attacker and he has double attack and Soul Guard, which allows him to tank the center. There are many cards which can add cards into his soul so that he become extremely tanky. At times I could actually go up to 7 soul, which my opponent will have problems taking it down. And of course, he has a second skill. If there are 3 or more souls in this card gains +1 critical. So especially with the double attack, 3 crits is definitely very, very powerful. So 4 copies of Terry, because he is your buddy monster. So basically, this is your main boss monster of the deck and you want to get him into your hand ASAP. Otherwise, we also play 2 copies of Damien. He's just in case you do not draw into Terry. You are able to use Damien. He is pretty much the same, except he doesn't have a double attack. So core cost, pay 2 gauge and put a spell from a drop zone into this card. So similar core cost. 7-3-5. He gains an additional crit, but he loses in double attack. But he still has an interesting skill. Activate. Put a soul card into the drop zone and pay 1 gauge. If you do, destroy a card on your opponent's field. Then, if you have 15 or more cards in your drop zone, put the top card of your deck into this card's soul. You may only use this ability once per turn. Unfortunately, the second ability, which you have 15 cards, so is actually used for Executioners, which is another deck. So we mostly use him as a tank in the center. However, do not worry. Even if you call him as into your center, you can always impact call over him so that he's still a very solid attacker. So it is very important to have your opening hands to have one of these size 3s so that you can go into your Joe, so that you can control the bot early game. So 4 copies of Simba. Simba is very useful card. However, we do not use him as a monster. We use his skill, which is Rebellion of the Shadow Lion. You may discard this card from your hand. If you do, select a Shadow Shade from your drop zone and add it to your hand. You may only use Rebellion of Shadow Dragon once per turn. So basically what you want to do is, sometimes if you do not have Terry or Damien in your hand, cards I like to use is, I like to combo this card with Lion, which is Little Light. Little Light allows you to put a card from your deck into your drop zone or into your gauge, so that you can add cards like Terry. You can add cards like Terry into your drop zone so that you can use Simba to retrieve it back and call it into and you can buddy call it. So it's a very, very good card, and especially even in late game, you are able to retrieve impact monsters back into your hand. So sometimes you actually want to do additional attack at your final phase. You can actually use him, fetch an impact monster back to your hand, then impact card at the final phase. So this is a very, very good card. Also, in case your Terry dies early game, you can always use him, discard him, get another Terry back, call to center and protect you, and continue the game. So it's a lifesaver. Play 4 copies. 4 copies of Shielded Spirit. He's a very good card because he allows your center to gain a soul. So basically, when this card enters the field, you may put a spell from your drop zone into a soul of monster onto your field. So what you want to do is you want to protect your Terry even more. So Terry in the center, call to the side, call to the left or right, and you can add a card into his soul. So making the center, giving Terry additional life. Very good. 1 copy of Shielded Leon. Leon is just there as an additional attacker. If there are 2 or more souls in the card on your field, this card gains 1 crit. So of course this is a very, very aggressive deck. So you want to finish your opponent as fast as possible. So as long as you have Terry on the field, chances are he's a 2 crit. 1 copy of Countdown. Countdown works very well in the drop zone because once per turn, at the beginning of your turn, before you draw, if this card in the drop zone, you may pay 1 life. If you do, you can call this card from your drop zone into your field. So it's a very good card because with cards like Little Light, let's say you already have your Terry set up, you can Little Light, add this guy into your gauge, pay for gauge, and it goes in the drop zone, so that the next turn you can call it out for 1 life, which is very good because it's 4k attack power. 4/1 is able to take out small monsters, so you're able to have removal every single turn. Very good. So 1 copy of Countdown. Right, for the impact monsters, we play 4 copies of Shiholet Joe, Illusion Shadow Dragons. So basically, he is our impact monster in the deck. 8/3/5, very solid stats. Call cost, pay 2 gauge and put this card on top of a Shadow Shade monsters. You can also put on top of the small monsters. If you actually do not have Terry on the field, you can actually just impact call above a monster, so that you at least have a tanky 5k wall in the center. If you do, and put a spell from a drop zone into this card, so you will also gain a soul when you impact call him. So once you impact call, you are able to attack 1 more time in the final phase. So it's good because it gives your opponent additional 3 damage. Unless you have a negate, of course. Counter skill. You may put a soul from this card into your drop zone. If you do, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. You may only use this effect once per turn. So one thing to note is you can use this skill on your turn and your opponent's turn. So all cards inside the soul is converted into ammo to shoot off your opponent's, to control your opponent's field. Very, very powerful effect because it doesn't state any size, so you can destroy a size 3 monster if he were to be a threat of this card. So remove a soul, pop a monster. Very powerful card. And he has Soul Guard, so that all the soul accumulated in your Terry will not be wasted as well. So for the spells, we play 4 copy of Nice One, because draw power is very important in this deck. More cards, more power. Pay 1 gauge and you can draw 2 cards. You may only cast this once per turn. 1 copy of Hidden Bomber. Basically, this card is used as tag. I would actually play 2, but I only have 1 right now. You may only cast this card during your opponent's turn. Pay 1 gauge. It is a dual world. It is a Dragon World and a Magic World. Very interesting card. Counter, return a monster with 5k power or less defense to its owner hand, or destroy it. So most of the time I will actually use this destroy skill, or you could actually return one of your own monsters with 5k or less to its owner hand, because it says its owner's hand. So you could actually bounce back your own monster if you want to. 4 copy of The Shade. So The Shade is a very, very good card. Basically, it gives you charge and draw, but the cost, it goes into your Terry. So not only you're able to get a free charge and draw, you're able to power up your Terry and give it extra life, so they can tank the center even longer. So its skill is put the top of card. You may only use this card if a Shadow Shade on the field. Put the top card of the deck into the gauge and draw 1 card, charge and draw. Then put this card into the Shadow Shade monster on your field. So it's a very, very good effect because you're gaining pretty much gaining a +2. One is a +1 into your Terry and a +1 into your hand. Right, next up, Trick or Treat. Another awesome card to power up your Terry. Choose one of the following effects. Put a spell from a drop zone into a Soul of a Shadow Shade. Then put this card into a Soul of a Shadow Shade. So imagine this, 1 card, and allows you to put 1 card into the Soul of Terry. Then this goes into the Soul of Terry. Becomes 2 additional lives for Terry. So your opponent have to kill Terry 2 times in order to 2 more times in order to destroy it. It's amazing because 1 card gives you 2 soul. So basically it's basically like 2 negates. So it's a absolute fantastic card. Here's the second effect. Put 2 souls from a card on the field into the drop zone. If you do, destroy a card on the field. And put this card into Soul of a Shadow Shade. So this card is this effect is also pretty good because if you're fighting against decks like Danger World, which requires which depends a lot on their weapon, you can pop their weapon and basically this is good as a removal generally. I generally use this to destroy weapons against decks who are very heavily reliant on weapons. Next up, 4 copies of Malicious Selector. It is a very, very powerful card because pay 1 gauge, choose one of the following 2. Another card that gives you an option. So, destroy a size 1 on your opponent's field, or choose a Shadow Shade in battle, and for this turn it gains plus 3k plus 3k attack and 3k defense. So basically, it is a Drago energy for your Shadow Shades, and this card goes into the Soul of a Shadow Shade. So once you cast it, it doesn't go to drop zone, it goes into the soul. Give your Shadow Shade 1 additional life and destroy your opponent's units. Very, very, very powerful card. So, yep, absolutely amazing. So 4 copies. Another 4 copies of Never Say Never, basically your Gauge Accelerator, with an added bonus. If you do not have cards in your hand, you are able to draw 2 cards as well. Skill, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the Gauge. If there are no cards in your hand, you can draw 2 cards. So if you are smart and you are able to spend every single card in your hand, you can cast this, charge 2 Gauge, and draw 2 additional cards. Very, very, very good card. Especially with this deck has a lot of chainable cards inside. There are many times where I can actually get the additional +2. 3 copies of Key of Solomon first volume, basically our standard Gauge Accelerator. Counter, put the top 2 cards of the deck into the Gauge. Very important for the early game, because let's say you do not have any cards in your drop zone, any spells in the drop zone, you could always use cards like these, put them in the drop zone and get started with your Terry. So our defensive spells, we have 2 copies of This Is How I Roll. You may only cast this card if you have a size 2 or greater monster on your field that is being attacked. So this deck is a size 3 deck, so guarantee you could use this. Nullify the attack. I mix the defenses up with 2 copies of Magical Goodbye. Counter, return a size 2 or less monster to the field to its owner's hand. So if your opponent is going to link attack against Terry, bounce back one of them and probably the attack will miss. So it's pretty much a negate. And 2 copies of Little Light. Put 1 monster from your deck into your Gauge or drop zone and gain 1 life. So you only can cast Little Light once per turn. Once again, this card allows you to set up your Terry in your drop zone so that you can retrieve back a Simba. Or you could dump Countdown into your drop zone so that you can call Countdown next turn. And you get the additional 1 life, which is always nice. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy my deck profile on my very own Shadow Shades deck. Be sure to add me on Facebook and subscribe to my channel. Peace out and love you guys. Bye!